Living in Colorado is not what you've been led to believe. Okay, that's not totally true. There are many things you hear about Colorado and Denver that are fairly accurate, but there are some things that a lot of us repeat without thinking about them too much that actually, it turns out, aren't true at all. And some things, if you don't live here, that you may have heard about Colorado that also are just patently false. So in this video, I want to go and clear the air on all these things and give you an idea of what's true and what's actually not. I'm going to share 7 myths about Colorado and Denver that many people believe to be true that aren't actually true at all, and I'm going to give it to you straight. So let's get to it. And real quick, if you don't know, Sam Newman, Denver area realtor. If you're considering moving to town, I would love to talk to you. There will be ways to get in touch with me down below in the description to this video. Okay, number 1, and this is a big one for people who maybe haven't visited very often and you've just seen images of Denver and Colorado in commercials, online, in movies, and that type of thing. The myth is that the whole state has mountains, right? Rocky Mountain High. That's what you think of when you think of Colorado. And indeed, the Rocky Mountains do come through Colorado and comprise a good amount of the state. Really, it's just the western half of the state. Basically, the entire eastern half of Colorado is flat plains. It is higher elevation plains, but plains nonetheless. And I vividly remember crossing the Nebraska state line and driving over flat ground for hours upon being in Colorado and, well, having that timeless realization.
I expected the Rocky Mountains to be a little rockier than this.
That John Denver's full of shit, man.
And of course, I've said this in many videos before, Denver itself is on the plains. It's part of the Front Range, which is basically the area right before the Rocky Mountains start. So great access to the mountains, but not in them. Number 2 myth is that Colorado is a cold weather state. And this goes along with a lot of that marketing I was talking about before, where you see skiing and snow-capped peaks. Indeed, skiing is a big part of our economy and what people like to do here, but it's just in part of the state. The elevation of Denver is 5280, and while that is mile high, as it's known as the Mile High City, most ski resorts sit at 8,000 feet of elevation or above, meaning it's colder and snowier there. But Denver winters are actually pretty darn mild. I'm originally from Minnesota, where it freezes sometime in late October and doesn't thaw till, I don't know, June. Ice, snow, cold, dark, for months on end. It's awful. And you know, if you spend time in the winter in Denver, it's really not that at all. Yes, we get a fair amount of snow, but we also have a lot of sun, and the temperature fluctuates quite a bit. It's not that cold that just beats you down over time. It gets warm and then it gets colder a little bit, and it snows and it melts. The average high temperature in February in Denver is 49 degrees. 49, that's almost 50. If it gets up to 50 in the winter in Minnesota, we start wearing shorts. It is a winter, but it's a very mild winter. And if you want the snow, you just drive a few hours west. All right, number 3 myth, the state car is a Subaru. This is kind of a fun one, but are there plenty of Subarus in Colorado? Yes, of course, but there's sort of this idea that I've heard from outsiders, and I too honestly believed before I moved here many years ago, that half of Colorado residents drive a Subaru. And as someone who is a card-carrying member of the Subaru sisterhood for many years, I am a Subaru fan, but there's really not that many of them around. They're really kind of as common as any other car. A Prius, a Lexus, a Ford F-150. If you're wondering what the true unofficial state vehicle of Colorado is, it's not a Subaru, it is a Toyota 4Runner. I love 4Runners personally, but holy crap, they're everywhere. Every man, it seems like, in his early 30s with a beard and a hat that says the name of a brewery also owns a Toyota 4Runner and has an Australian Shepherd dog. These are the facts, I just report them. Number 4 myth about Colorado, everyone here smokes weed. I know, it's actually not true. This one stems back from legalization. We were one of the first states to legalize marijuana recreationally. Now, it's kind of funny because we legalized it at the same time as a few other states, Oregon and Washington in particular, but for some reason, all of the media attention went on Colorado. I don't know why that happened, but it was kind of fun, to be honest. So dispensaries popped up, it became part of our tourism, and to some degree, that is still the case. Marijuana is legal in a lot more places now than it was when it was first legalized here, but culturally, there's still plenty of that going on. It is a culture that's very accepting of smoking the herb, but it's not as widespread as you might think. According to a 2021 study from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Administration, only 19% of adults 18 and older had smoked marijuana in Colorado in the last month. Now, to be honest, that number seems low, and it probably probably is a little low. A study like this is probably heavily dependent on self-reporting, and some folks, hey, as commonplace as it is now, still may not be comfortable talking about their pot usage. So 19% is the number. I would venture to guess it's a bit higher than that, but is it way higher? Is it over 50%? No. You still meet people all the time, myself being one of them, who just doesn't use marijuana. It makes me tired and anxious. Number 5, and this one gets repeated ad nauseum, and I have actually repeated it for years, having no idea that it wasn't actually true. And that's that Denver and Colorado get 300 days of sunshine a year. I know, my mind is blown. 300 days of sunshine, not actually true. Kind of a bummer. It's like finding out Santa Claus isn't actually real. It's a stat that gets thrown around all the time to talk about how sunny the climate in Denver actually is, and it is very sunny. A lot of the time we point to the fact that we have more sunny days than Florida, and far as I can tell by looking at the data, that is still true. But 300 fully sunny days, not accurate. Turns out this rumor can actually be traced back to 1870, when the railroad PR guys were trying to tell people out east how amazing it was out west. Apparently people were still a little afraid of the Wild West, so they were trying to get more tourism for the railroads for people to come through Denver and Colorado. And they started saying 300 days of sunshine based on essentially nothing other than a guess. So it's fewer than 300 days. How many days is it actually? Well, that depends on the metric you look at, and this is where it gets a little confusing. What actually constitutes a sunny day? Does it have to be completely sunny? Can there be some clouds? Can it just be partly sunny? Who knows? But if we look at the data, what I'm going to look at is the days that are either sunny or partly sunny throughout the year. And when you look at those two categories combined, Denver has about 245 days of sunshine a year. So not 300, but still pretty darn good. Number 6, and I referenced this before, is that everyone skis. Everyone in Denver, everyone in Colorado skis. They love to ski on the weekends. They can't get enough skiing. For many of us, is that true? Yes, but I cannot tell you how many people I meet on a week-to-week basis who just don't ski. People who grew up here, who have never skied before in their lives, or have tried skiing once and didn't care for it. It is an amazing amenity that we have available to us here, that we live in a place that people travel from all over the world to come and ski and snowboard. We really do have world-class skiing and ski resorts here in Colorado, but it's not like everybody does it. Many people are happy to avoid the whole thing altogether, avoid the snow, the traffic, the prices, the lift lines, all that. Personally, I snowboard and I really enjoy it, but even given that, a lot of those factors I talked about turn me off to it in certain instances. So love to go up, but I'm a lot more selective about when and where I go now, just because I don't want to wait in line in traffic all day. Come to Denver. Yes, you can ski if you want. Yes, I'd recommend trying it at least once or twice, but no, people will not look at you like a weirdo if it's not really your thing. And number 7, myth about Denver is that the food is not good. I don't know where this one comes from. It must come from the olden times when everything was local and you had to like live by the apple tree to eat an apple or something. You know, out here in Denver, we're not on a coast. We do obviously have plenty of farming, but I feel like Denver's reputation as a food city hasn't caught up to how good it actually is. Outside the main culinary cradles in America, you know, LA, New York, Chicago, and Vegas, we're right up there in that next tier. So many good restaurants in Denver, whether it's fine dining or whether it's Mexican food. We have great Mexican barbecue. That scene is getting a lot better. Food trucks, one of my favorite ways to consume food. I know, very hipster of me, but still, just going up and getting a delicious plate of tacos or a burger or a slice of pizza from a truck, not sitting down and having to deal with the white tablecloth and all that. I love it. The point being, we really have every cuisine represented here. The Denver food scene has something for you. There's some amazing dim sum places on the west side of town. Dumpling, Ethiopian, even seafood. And in the past, I've borderline gotten enraged talking to some folks from the coasts who turn up their nose at the idea of eating seafood in Denver. Again, like this is the 1900s and there's just no way to get fresh seafood to the Rocky Mountain region. Of course, that's nonsense. And some of my favorite restaurants in Denver are actually seafood restaurants. Blue Island Oyster Bar in Cherry Creek and now in Lone Tree, they have an awesome agreement with an oyster fishery on Long Island. They get super fresh, super delicious seafood. Sushi Den is some of the best sushi I've ever had anywhere. They fly it in from Japan every single day. The point is, through the wonders of modern technology, you can get amazing cuisine of any type pretty much anywhere. And we have that in spades here in Denver, Colorado as a whole. That's it for the myths. But remember what I said back there about the winters? Are you curious how much it actually snows in Denver in the winter? I did a video on that too. If you want, check it out right now. Otherwise, see ya. Love you.